You see they're dry. You see there's no marrow in the bone. You see they're scattered all over the valley. They ain't even full skeletons. I mean, the bones are scattered all over the valley. They're just bones. But answer me a question, Ezekiel. Can these bones live? Ezekiel answers the only way he knows how to answer. Lord, you know. Critical race theory was born out of critical legal theory. Am I teaching y'all something today? There emerged two common beliefs linking all critical race theories. First, white supremacy has subordinated black people and other people of color. That's just a fact. How in the world are you going to fight against that being taught in any school? White supremacy has subordinated black people and other people of color. That's a fact. Why don't you want that to be taught in school? You let your schools teach us that Columbus discovered America. That's a lie. You let your schools teach us that George Washington couldn't tell a lie. That's a lie. You let your schools teach us that some slave owners were beneficent and good slave owners. There were no good slave owners. Anybody who owned people was evil. That's a lie. You let your schools teach us that Abraham Lincoln was good for Negroes. No, Abraham Lincoln was trying to save the Union. And Abe Lincoln himself said if he could save the Union and keep black people in chains, he would do it. That's a lie. Come on, somebody. You let them teach us about a white Jesus. You let them teach us that Native Americans were the aggressors. Come on, somebody. That white folk had a manifest destiny and that the pilgrims were good to Native Americans. That's a lie. All day, every day, you let them teach us lies. All throughout my history in school, I was taught lies. But you got a problem with critical race theory because it teaches the truth that white supremacy has subordinated black people and people of color. The right to bear arms. Let me just back up a little bit. And let me take you on back to the late 1960s when Ronald Reagan was the governor of California. And they were oppressing black folk, and a group of men and women known as the Black Panther Party decided that they were going to defend the rights of black folk. And the Black Panthers decided that the Second Amendment wasn't just for white folk. So they strapped themselves with guns and showed up at the Capitol in California. And when they saw them Negroes with guns, come on, somebody. That's why I say if you ever really want to get gun laws changed, just strap all these Negroes up. They'll change them laws before the week is over. When the Black Panthers, watch this, I want you to read, the California legislator passed what was called the Mulford Act. It was a gun control act that decided who could get guns, who couldn't get guns, what could be in your background, what couldn't be in your background. It was the first time in history that the National Rifle Association, the NRA, supported restrictive gun legislation, all because black folk had the nerve to get strapped. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, go get strapped. Amen, somebody. Y'all gonna say Bishop told us to get strapped. I said it. Go get strapped. It just got real quiet up in here. But y'all already know I'm a triple P. Amen. Y'all know what a triple P is, right? A pistol packing preacher. Amen, somebody. Hey family, how y'all be? Get my chat on, see who's up in here. Y'all already know what to do. Rep your city, rep your town, rep your city, rep your town. Come on, y'all. Let's get it. Happy Monday. Let me get my Twitter spacers in here. Let's get Twitter up in here. All right. Welcome, Instagram. Welcome, Twitter. I still call it Twitter. For y'all who only been on it since it's been called X, I still call it Twitter. We old heads still call it Twitter. All right, I think everybody's locked and loaded. Let me share it with some of my groups. Good morning. Do me a favor, like, share, subscribe. Y'all know what to do. Get the folk in here. Watch out for the trolls now. I've been roasting some of them. Y'all let me know if Doughboy jumps in there, because he's probably going to be in there. Doughboy is probably going to be up in the comments somewhere. I see you, Detroit. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let me run and get some water real quick. Might need it this morning. All right, let's go. $90.7 WTCC. Good morning, and welcome to another edition of the Spoken Word. I'm your host, Bishop Talbert Swan the second, and as usual, we'll be telling it like it is through cultural idioms and nuances that shape the order, ethos, and chaos of the African American experience. Words have their own vitality. They shape their own consciousness and create their own context for interpreting social and spiritual reality. The spoken word contains the power to reshape the landscape of society. It is 5 minutes past the hour of 9 a.m., and I want to thank Elder Rick Robinson for bringing us up until the 9 o'clock hour with Monday morning inspirations. You can hear Elder Rick every Monday morning from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Good way to start out your Monday morning. Great way to start out your week. Uh, yeah, it's been a good week. Um, it was my birthday week, my birthday weekend, my pastoral anniversary week that closed out yesterday morning, and my little cousin, um, Minister Shadrach Carter, wrecked the house yesterday morning. And when I say wrecked the house, the young man preached. The young man preached. So it's been a great week, and of course, we had good preaching all week. Pastor Mark Bayman opened us up. Pastor J.P. Morgan, Pastor Anthony Roberson, and then Minister Carter. So it was a great pastoral anniversary celebration. So I didn't make it into the station on Friday because it was my birthday. Yeah. And any of y'all feeling like you want to spread the birthday love, let me let me just drop it in the cat. Let me just drop the cash app in the comment section. Let me just there it is. $ Talbert Swan. Just in case you feeling generous and you want to be a blessing for my 61 years of life. Um, yeah. Good morning to Atlanta, Washington, D.C. I see Arizona in here. The 413 is in the building. New York is in the building. Maryland is in the house. Is Mr. Worm in here? He might be. Detroit, Michigan is in the building. Southfield is in the building. Pensacola, New Jersey is in the building. Brooklyn's in the house. Miami is in the building. Charlotte, North Carolina is in the building. Yeah. Yeah, Louisiana is up in here. Conroe, is that Conroe, Texas is up in the building. Texas is in here. Chicago is in here. Kansas City is up in here. We got some more ATLs up in the building. Good morning, good morning, good morning to everybody from everywhere. Listen, tell a friend, tell somebody the bishop is on the air right now. Um, and, uh, I want to talk about today. I want to talk about why divide and conquer still works in the black community. Why divide and conquer still works in the black community. Um, in spite of everything that's going on, in spite of how they're trying to roll back our history, literally how they're trying to put us back on the plantation. And black people who stand up for justice get attacked by other black people. Y'all make that make sense to me. But it's not a new phenomenon. That's the thing. One of my favorite speeches by Dr. King, where he talks about drinking a cup of coffee at midnight and the things that went through his head, and how he was frustrated and bewildered, how he was constantly under attack. And this is what he said, even from Negroes. That the attacks he was under, it wasn't just racist white folk attacking him, it was black people. And I'm a witness that happens. Sometimes your biggest detractors are the people who look like you. That's no different than what's happening in 2026, right here in Springfield and beyond. Black folk who stand for the empowerment of black people get attacked by other black people. And what's amazing to me about that is by the same Negroes that will jump up and down and claim to be conscious. It's the same Negroes who talk about the Willie Lynch letter and who talk about the divide and conquer tactics used by the white man to divide black people. They're the ones who are attacking black people. Yeah. Attacking black people, attacking black agencies. They stand up and they say that the city ought to give more money to black agencies. Then when black agencies get money from the city, if they ain't the black people who kiss their behinds, then they attack those black agencies. Yeah. It's the same old stuff over and over again. And it seems like we just don't learn from history. So we're going to talk about it. Tell a friend, tell somebody we're on the air right now. 413-736-2781. 413-736-2781 is the number here. Don't you go no.
Being in the road will be end of the road if you refuse to change it. Reach a little higher, reach a little higher, dig a little deeper, dig a little deeper.
Go a little further.
Go a little further. Come on, come on, come on.
Reach a little higher.
Come on. Yeah.
Dig a little deeper.
Dig a little deeper.
Go a little further.
Go a little further. Come on, but don't stop. The essence of life is growth, but the essence of growth is change. The being in the road will be the end of the road.
If you refuse to change.
Your life will never change until you get disgusted with where you are. Whatever you don't hate is what you tolerate. You must learn from the past, plan for the future, and live for today. For it is your daily routine that determines your success or failure in life. It's the choices that you have made up until this point that will determine the rest of your life. So break the cycle that doing enough is simply good enough. You only get out what you put in, so don't settle for the crumbs when you can have the whole loaf. So push yourself beyond your limitations. Come on.
Reach a little higher.
Reach a little higher.
Dig a little deeper.
Dig a little deeper. Go a little further. Don't stop. Don't stop. Come on. Reach a little higher. Reach a little higher. Dig a little deeper. Dig a little deeper. Go a little further. Go a little further. Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop.
All right, let's get it, y'all.
Routine of trying to beat the system. Manipulators will always try to bypass the process for the quick progress. There are no shortcuts to success. There are no elevators to the top. You gotta take it one step at a time. You gotta break the routine of allowing others to get into your
That's
head
good.
and control
Save
who you
act.
are
You're
and
right.
Where you're going. You see, when you're about to pop,
You are absolutely right.
haters. But don't let your haters push you down. Let your haters push you forward to the next level. So when people show you who they really are, don't perceive them to be something else that they're not. See, a zebra does not change his stripes. So you gotta keep pushing yourself to the next level. Yeah, there you go. Come on. Come on. Yeah.
Go a little further.
Go a little further. Come on. Come on.
All right, let's get this, y'all. Like, share, subscribe, tell a friend. We on the air. We in here. We outside.
I look in the mirror and I like what I see. A strong, beautiful black woman
Staring back at me.
one who's seen a lot of pain and had her share of sorrow, but who never gave up hope for a brighter tomorrow. I've been locked in front and hit, but it's made me stronger and I refuse to quit. That's right. And though I've been tempted, I refuse to stoop to their level. Don't go down. I rose above that nonsense and made a liar of the devil. All right now. The devil who said I wasn't good enough, cute enough,
Or worthy of love.
I kicked his butt with divine power from above. Power that says I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me. All right. And brought me out of darkness so that I could see that I'm smart, I'm beautiful, I'm a child of the King. Abundant love for me he came to bring. Oh yes, when I look in the mirror, I love what I see. She's looking good. That strong, beautiful black woman, that woman is me.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are solely those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of the staff or management of WTCC Radio or Springfield Technical Community College.
90.7 WTCC. Good morning. Welcome again to another edition of The Spoken Word. Bishop Talbert Swan II with you. Happy to be back. Little break on the weekend, little break on Friday because it was my birthday. And this Friday, I won't be with you on this Friday. I've got to travel to Winston-Salem, North Carolina, Carolina University, where I successfully defended my doctorate, and our commencement will take place on Saturday, so I'll be leaving on Friday. Be a proud moment after long years of sacrifice and struggle and ups and downs and all of that. Finally completed something it's been on my list to complete. And my younger brother, who finished his doctorate before I finished mine, Dr. Jonathan Swan, will come and hood me in the ceremony. So that'll be pretty cool. Dr. Swan will be hooding Dr. Swan. So that's going to be a good moment. 413-736-2781 is the number here. So, the tactic is, and it's more than a tactic, and I'll talk about that, is divide, distract, and defeat. Divide and conquer. It's an old playbook that unfortunately still works. It still works. There's nothing new about division in the black community. Nothing new. It didn't just happen 40 years ago or 30 years ago or 20 years ago. It's an old strategy that has been sharpened over centuries. And our open enemy has been able to deploy it with precision. And we've got people in our community who fall for it over and over and over again. Because though it's deployed from without, externally, it is sustained internally. Sustained from within. And it's been happening long before social media algorithms amplified what I call conflict for clicks. Long before that, long before clicks and likes, long before posting and going back and forth with each other and all of that, there were calculated efforts designed to fracture black unity. Whether it was the counterintelligence program or what we call COINTELPRO from J. Edgar Hoover and the FBI, to the earlier systems of surveillance and infiltration and manipulation, the goal has always been the same: to keep black people fighting each other so they never unite against systems of power. Distract them so they don't even know what's happening in other rooms of power, we're there on the menu. Divide and conquer is not just a tactic. It's a doctrine. It's a strategy. And what makes it effective is not just what's done to us, but what we end up doing to each other. The tragedy of our time is that we've internalized the very playbook designed to weaken us. As I alluded to earlier, there are folks talking about monies given out from downtown, and they're really trying to come after black people who run organizations that have received funding. They say nothing about white-run organizations who have received money for years, for decades, who received 10 times the money. And these are the same people who claim they want the black people to get the money, but when it ain't the black people that they like, when it ain't the black people that's in their political camp, then they want to complain about that. Typical sycophantic behavior by those who what I call are actorvists. There's a difference between an activist and an actorvist, and I'll talk about that in a few moments. So what we got today is, instead of federal agents planting misinformation, we got black voices on Facebook Live tearing down other black people in the name of advocacy, in the name of accountability, in the name of speaking truth to power. Instead of coordinated disruption from outside forces, we got self-inflicted division dressed up as righteous indignation, dressed up as holding people accountable, dressed up as speaking truth to power. And the pattern is painfully clear. Individuals who claim to champion black empowerment, publicly attacking black politicians, black faith community leaders, black-led organizations, because they don't like the people that are running them. You can't run over here and have a black unity forum in 1 minute and then jump on Facebook Live and tear down black people the next minute. That don't go together. It don't go together. That's not advocacy, brothers and sisters. That's sabotage. Because it's easy to call out systemic injustice when the enemy is distant and abstract. It's much harder to confront the damage done when the attacks come from within your own community. And the reality is that some people are more committed to being seen as activists than actually doing the work of activism. And I say that as a longtime activist, as an activist who was out here doing the work before Facebook existed, before there was social media, before you can get on live and talk smack and call that speaking truth to power. Everybody with a phone can do a Facebook Live. That's not activism. Everybody got a YouTube page and a Facebook account. and is looking for a viral moment. I'm from the old school of activism, where we did the work when there were no cameras looking at us, when no newspapers were writing about what we were doing, when we couldn't post ourselves at a protest so that we looked important, when there was no Facebook Live. So most of these folk, they ain't really activists, they're actorvists, performers who thrive off attention. They thrive off controversy and visibility, but produce very little measurable change. Produce nothing. But did you see my live? I told him. I told them. I called them out. I held them accountable. Negro, please. Talking smack about people on Facebook ain't holding nobody accountable. You're not changing what they're doing. You're not changing policy. There's nothing tangible that is changing because you pontificated on Facebook. See, activists don't build coalitions. They struggle to build an audience and don't do a good job at that. How you go live every other day and still got 7 people who look at your stuff? I'm just saying. I'm just look. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. If you go live 2-3 times a week and you still can't build an audience of 10, maybe this ain't your calling. Just saying. They don't organize. They just want to antagonize. They don't uplift. They just want to undermine. And what they do is become willing accomplices to the very systems that they claim to oppose. Because while black folk are arguing over personalities and policies that harm our community, those policies move forward, unchallenged and unchecked. While they're trying to create a viral moment, while they're posting stuff to try to tear down other black people and black organizations and black political figures, resources are being redirected, opportunities are being diminished, and the structural inequities that they claim that they oppose remain intact. Because division is not just a distraction, it's a weapon. It's a weapon. And every time we pick it up and use it against each other, we're doing somebody else's work for them. Yeah, we're making their job easier. We're doing the work for them. Now, I'm not suggesting that there's no room for accountability. It doesn't mean that every organization or every leader should be above critique. But there's a difference between accountability and antagonism. There's a difference between constructive criticism and character assassination. There's a difference. And far too often, we're choosing the latter because it draws more attention. Attention is the currency of this era of so-called advocacy. You know, like I said, I came up during the time when it was hard to even get attention drawn on the issues that we were advocating for. Now attention is the currency because everybody got a phone. Everybody going live. Got something to say. It's the currency. But the cost is often too high. Because if we're serious about liberation, we got to be equally serious about unity. Now, unity is not uniformity. Understand that. We can have differing opinions, but still be unified in our overall goals regarding the freedom of black people. We don't have to agree with how to get there. We just have to agree that we need to get there and both be working towards getting there, even if we're using different tactics, different methodologies, and different strategies. Unity is that we're both headed toward the same goal. It's not necessarily uniformity. We're not going to agree on everything, and we shouldn't because we are not a monolithic people. But we got to learn how to distinguish between disagreement and division. Okay? Disagreement sharpens us. We need differing ideas. But division destroys us. And that's the difference. And the question that we got to ask ourselves is simple. Are we advancing the cause or advancing ourselves, beating our chest? I'm the only black man that's doing this and saying that. I was the onlyest one. Yeah, that's what the prophet Elijah thought. When he said they hewn down all the altars, they killed all the prophets, I'm the only one left. And the Lord had to say to him, I got 7,000 prophets that never bent a knee to Baal. You ain't the only one. Get out your ego. You're not the only one. And history has shown us what happens when we remain divided. But it's also shown us what can happen if we ever decide to come together. Now, we got to make the choice. We got to decide which one we're going to do. Which one are we going to do? Are we going to keep shooting shots at each other? Or are we going to live and let live? I don't agree with how that brother's doing what he's doing, but I'm not going to tear him down. I'm going to keep working in my area of influence toward change. And then I guess here's another question is, what makes you think that you are the arbiter of what everybody else ought to be doing? This is what I never understand about you chocolate folk. It's always folk who don't go to church who say what the church ought to be doing. It's always people who don't support the NAACP or the Urban League who say what they ought to be doing. It's always people who don't support the preacher, who says what the preacher should be. Why y'all always got to answer about what somebody else is supposed to be doing, and can't nobody find what you doing with a flashlight? Help me understand that. What makes you the arbiter of what other grown folk are supposed to be doing? It's like the people who get on the internet and tell the preachers what they should be doing with their money. Who the hell are you to tell somebody else what they're supposed to do with their money? Huh? I don't get it. I don't understand y'all. Well, y'all always got the answers of what everybody else is supposed to be doing, but nobody's supposed to be able to have an opinion on what you should be doing. How about you mind the business that pays you? And then who are we to decide that if somebody ain't in our camp, if they're not in alignment with our agenda and what we want, that they're not valuable to the community, that they should be attacked, that they should be replaced? You know, all this talk about we got to replace these. You ain't replacing nobody. You ain't got that much juice. We gotta take them down. Yeah, okay. Y'all don't have vote as it is. Can I just keep it a buck today? You know, I'm on one this morning. We can't get 1,000 people to vote in Ward 4, and y'all talking about who you gonna take down, who you gonna replace. Replace your draws. That's about it. That's the only thing you're gonna replace. So why are you bent on thinking you get to decide what other people are supposed to do? You can't say what this pastor should do. That membership has the influence. You gonna tell me what to do as a pastor? You ain't even a member of my church. Do you know how foolish you sound? But every week, some Negro, these pastors, these bishops, these leaders, they need to be, and you don't go to church nowhere, don't tithe nowhere, don't support no church nowhere, but you pontificating and bumping your gums about what the faith leaders ought to be doing. Sit down and shut up. Have several seats. Tired of these loudmouth folk who jump on a soapbox with so much to say about everybody else, and they have no body of work at all. Only thing they got is Facebook Lives. All you got is what you said. I said this. I held them accountable. I did a live. I wrote something that showed up in this online paper that don't nobody read. But you ain't got no real body of work, no tangible results, no policy changes, no lives that have been affected or bettered because of your work. You got no body of work. You are what the Bible called noise, a sounding brass and a tinkling cymbal, just noise. That's it and that's all. We got too much noise going on in our community. Noise, and what does noise do? It distracts. It distracts. It takes quiet, serene, focused moments, and it distracts. That's part of the divide and conquer tactic. Throw the noise out there. And then what happens is we get to responding to the noise instead of staying focused on the mission. Instead of being focused on what's important at the moment. So this is not, divide and conquer is not a conspiracy theory. It's a documented strategy that's been used against the black community, against black leadership, against the black faith community, against black organizations, and against black movements for generations. These strategies have been specifically designed to create internal conflict and to create distrust among black people, black communities, black organizations, and black leaders distrusting one another. And the modern version of this strategy, it doesn't always require outside interference because we are replicating the divisions ourselves without their help. We're just continuing the cycle. We're on the merry-go-round, going around in circles. Social media has turned activism into performances, where being seen is prioritized over actual results. See, those of us who really care about our community, we do things behind the scenes that y'all don't ever hear about. And we don't ever post about. And don't ever tell anybody about. We help people without it being a show. This is what y'all don't get. Because y'all think that everything that is done should be done in the public eye. And if you don't see it, it means it ain't happening. So that's why y'all always say, what are these churches doing? Because y'all don't know. Because we don't advertise everything that we do. Every time we save somebody's lights from being shut off, y'all don't know about it. Every time we help somebody's kid go to college, y'all don't know about it. Every time we keep somebody's house from being foreclosed, you don't know about it. Every time we gather the church together and give a family that has had a tragedy clothes and food and shelter, y'all don't know about it. And because you don't know about what we're doing, what are they doing? They ain't doing nothing. Nobody has to report to you about everything that they're specifically doing. What are you doing? Other than claiming ain't nobody else doing nothing. That's the question. What are you doing? We don't have to post about everything that we do. There are people who don't want their business on Facebook. So you got these activists who are more focused on being seen than on doing the work. So when black organizations receive funding, the goal should be to ensure that they have impact, not to attack them based on personal disagreements, not to attack them because you don't like them. Internal conflict weakens collective power. And it makes it easier for external systems to maintain the control that they already have. Now again, unity does not mean agreement on everything. We ain't got to agree to be respectful to each other. All we need is a shared commitment and some common goals. We got to ask whether our actions are helping the community or feeding a need for attention and validation. Because that's all some of y'all are doing. Feeding a need for attention and validation. 413-736-2781. 413-736-2781 is the number here. If you want to chime in on the conversation. Let me, every now and then I need to remind y'all about the project Holy Bars for Hurting People, and remind you about the two books that we have out, The Gospel According to Justice and Prophetic Fire. Go on Amazon, pick those up, and then you can stream the project Holy Bars for Hurting People. Let me play a track from that, and when I come back, I want to give some action steps in terms of what we need to do to mitigate this divide and conquer phenomenon that keeps on dividing our community, because it's still a problem. Don't go nowhere. Keep it locked. 90.7 WTCC.
There comes a moment in every generation when the world grows too dark for passive faith and too wicked for a silent church. A moment when God looks for a people with enough holy imagination to dream beyond the chains, preach beyond the pain, and believe beyond the empire's shadow. This is that moment. The prophets are calling, not the soft ones, not the sanitized ones, but the wild, untamed voices who carried fire in their bones and revolution in their tongues. Isaiah with visions too large for empires. Amos with justice roaring like a river. Jeremiah weeping because the people forgot. Micah demanding we do justice before we dare shout hallelujah. Jesus reading Luke's scroll like a declaration of war against every system that crushes the poor. This is the lineage of the prophetic imagination. A vision that refuses to bow, refuses to break, refuses to believe that oppression has the final word. But the church today has forgotten how to dream. We've traded prophecy for programs, revelation for respectability, kingdom vision for corporate branding, and spiritual power for political permission. We've convinced ourselves that safety is holy and silence is wisdom when God is calling us to be dangerous for righteousness' sake. But hear me, a church without imagination is a church without power. A faith without vision is a faith without victory. A gospel without liberation is a gospel without Jesus.
It's time to resurrect the imagination of the ancestors who saw promised lands from plantations, who saw freedom from cotton fields, who saw justice through the smoke of burning crosses. They dreamed impossible dreams and made them real with blood, courage, and conviction. Now it's our turn to imagine schools where black history is honored, not outlawed. To imagine neighborhoods where our children thrive, not survive. To imagine a justice system that doesn't feast on black bodies. To imagine a church that speaks truth with a thunder that shakes the nation. This is prophetic imagination, the gift God gives to those bold enough to believe that liberation is not only possible, it's required. So let the prophets rise again. Let the dreamers dream again. Let the church see again. Let justice walk again. Let freedom speak again. Because God is not done, and neither are we.
413-736-2781 is the number here. Good morning, caller.
Hello, good morning. My name is Brenda Johnson. I was on your live chat.
Yes.
I was calling in to see how do we hold people that's saying that they're activists accountable when they're not even representing the mission on why they stand for the organization that they didn't even found, but it's a well-known entity that's national, and they fight us or are by the white man. And I asked for the removal of that president, and they're still president. And my family and other families that look like us in our community, black, we're being harmed by the system.
Okay. Let me ask you a question. Are there other organizations or other movements that you all can be a part of that will enact the agenda that you all feel best serves black people?
I've tried that in my community that I was in, but paying activists $3.50 an hour, $2.50, and then we're still not getting results. And the families, the black families, are being harmed in the court system. And then you go to the local churches and you ask the pastors, you ask the deacons for help, and they literally look like they're scared. And I'm like, okay, y'all say y'all represent this or represent the cause of helping families to help, the black community against police brutality, false arrest, the family court system, unlawfully throwing things to family.
Let me ask you, what 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 city do you what's
Everybody where the judge was wrongfully killed, that's the city that I live in, and my kids were taken by the police making up a fake crime on me, and they've been gone for over 3 years now.
so here's my suggestion to you, sis. The best way to change organizations is internally. Um, um, so every church has a membership, and those members can hold the leadership of the church accountable. It's difficult when you are a member of the community but not a member of that faith community, and you want that church to operate based off of your agenda because they may not be in sync with that agenda. Um, but their membership can hold them accountable. And here's the other thing: there's got to be another church somewhere that is in alignment with that agenda. And so I encourage people all the time, if this organization doesn't work for you, find one that does. Because there are those who do. There are those churches who have a liberation theology um, doctrine, who operate based off of a Luke 4 mentality, who understand the importance of fighting for people in the community, and doing what Jesus said when he said, I was called to speak good tidings to the poor, to set at liberty those that are captive, and to free those that are oppressed. And so rather than beating your head up against the wall in terms of an organization that is not in sync with those values that you have, find you one that is in sync, and then support that organization and work with them toward those shared goals that you have. Because I understand the frustration that you might have, and sometimes you've got to make up your mind to leave something. Yeah. And it might be difficult because oftentimes it's things that we've been a part of for a long time, things we may have even supported for a long time. I know people who during this era of Trumpism have had a wake up call that this church ain't what I thought it was. This organization isn't what I thought it was. Um, and they have to make the very difficult decision to leave it and to go support something that was more in alignment with their shared values. So that's the advice I would give to you. Let me give you these quick action steps because I got to get out of here. Miss Cynthia Butler is in the studio, and I got 4 minutes, and she's coming on with Mid Morning Jazz and great black music. So keep it locked right here. First of all, examine your own engagement and ask yourself whether you're contributing to solutions or whether you're amplifying division. And if you're contributing to solutions, ask yourself what's the tangible results of that? Show me what's the proof. For example, I was part of a legal action recently, and we won the case where we stopped the Department of Justice in Massachusetts from being able to obtain our voter information. They wanted to obtain all of the voter information, your date of birth, your social security number, all your personal information, so that Trump's administration could engage in intimidation tactics and voter suppression efforts. And so we joined in suit with a lawsuit. So if you can, that's just one example of a tangible result. If you don't have tangible results of your activism, then maybe you ought to ask yourself what you're really in it for. Other thing we got to do is support black-led organizations based, and this is to the sister who just called, based on their impact and outcomes, not based on personal feelings about who's in leadership. Okay? And yes, we do have to hold leaders accountable, but do it in ways that's in the community rather than in it. And then you got to refuse to participate in public smear campaigns against other black individuals or organizations. Then invest your time in some real work, whether that's organizing, whether it's mentoring, whether it's volunteering or advocating for policy change. You got to be mindful of how social media incentives conflict and commit. You got to commit to not being manipulated. Then you got to build relationships across differences. You can work with people you don't always agree with if we focus on common goals like economic empowerment, education, criminal justice reform, and political influence. I'm out of time. I got to go. Coming up next is mid-morning jazz and great black music. Keep it locked right here on 90.7 Black Love Experience on Friday. We'll have a guest host in the studio. So tune in anyway. And if you're looking for a place to worship, check us out at the Spring of Hope Church of God in Christ, 35 Alden Street, Bishop Talbert Swan Way, the Brick Church right there at 6 Corners, 10 a.m. Sunday school, 11 a.m. morning worship, 9 a.m. on Saturday in Brattleboro, Vermont. Prayer, praise, and preaching. We're building better tomorrows by changing lives today. I'm out of here until the next time I talk to you and you talk to me. Always remember, God loves you. And so do I. Peace and blessings.
They told us to be quiet, told us to hush our mouths and bow our heads while America sharpened its teeth again. Told the black church to stay in its place, sing your hymns, shout your